Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I'm Ron Luce. I am joined by the one, the only, the cheese man, Mr. Joey Ricotta. How you doing, buddy? We could talk about a Cubs win tonight. You and I haven't been on a microphone in Lord knows how long. How are you, my friend? It's been too long.
Too long, Ron. Too long. Tomorrow's a half day for me. The Cubs are the hottest team in baseball.
Oh,
and they just beat the St. Louis Cardinals. So I'm doing good, Ron. How the hell are you doing?
I'm doing sensational. I'm having a good time. I told everybody coming into tonight's show, I got my sunglasses on because the Cubs are so hot. It's blinding. And that's why we're wearing the sunglasses tonight. We've already got people in the comments section. Mr. Jeremiah, Chip Carey is hurting his family's name 1,000%. You heard the promo that Tyler cut back in like January.
Yes.
Going to that shit bag sake to finally, he just needs to say FTC, baby, FTC. Clean slate, 500, proud of the team. Completely agree. And there's hashtag, there's Joey, not where's Joey. Juice says, I've been at the last 5 Cubs on taps, and that's resulted in 6 straight wins. So no pressure bringing the good juju. 100%. No pressure at all. We are having a good time, Joey. We are feeling good vibes. The Cubs win by a big margin tonight, a 10-3 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals. This is their 6th straight victory, as Juice brought to light here. Overall, it's been a hot one here, Joey. But Joey, before we get into the statistical playoff implications, the buy versus sell talk, because that's going to dominate every episode until August 1st. Before all of that, maybe the weirdest first inning I've ever seen in a hot motherfucking minute.
Maybe. You could, maybe. I mean, you could say that. It was
You could
say. You could.
Miles Mikolas gets tossed because he throws at Ian Happ. Well, why did he throw at Ian Happ? Because Ian Happ accidentally hit Wilson Contreras in the head with the backswing. So Mikolas took it into his own hands, like a whatever it is. You know, he throws 2 inside. The second one hits Happ. He's gone. Marmol, I feel like every time the Cubs play the Cardinals, Marmol gets ejected. I feel like that's happened like 15 times now. It's almost as bad as like deja vu at this point with Marmol. I'm like, wait, didn't he just do this last game? Like, didn't this just happen? I'm telling you, that was a wild first inning, and I need to know, Joey. You told me you had something on the tee for tonight, where you're winding up, just swing and hit it. What are your thoughts on the Miles Mikolas situation after Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras hug it out over what happened?
Well, yeah. Well, I thought you were just going to put it on the tee for me. So now it is on the
tee.
Yeah, you put it on the tee. Yeah. So, all right, I'll smack it out, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to hit anybody with it. You know, I won't
Ian
do that.
Happ hit Wilson, though.
He hit Wilson.
And Wilson then Miles hit Ian.
Wilson got his head busted open, which never want to see that.
That sucks.
Didn't want to see that.
So bad. So bad.
Brutal. And you know what? They couldn't even make the excuse that Wilson played any part of this game, this loss. That's what makes it so much sweeter as a Cubs fan, the Cubs getting this win tonight and just annihilating them. Because Wilson he was out of the game, first inning, and then it all went downhill from there. First of all, though, you mentioned Marmol. Do you think he's feeling a little bit of the pressure right now?
I hope he is.
Like I feel like his seat is as hot as just about any manager in baseball because of the expectations on this team this year. So, like, he gets into these games against the Cubs, and now he's going to go out there and do a little show and, stick up for the players, and, Mikolas was sticking up for his guy. And, number one, and everybody said this already, it's not like we're saying something that nobody's thinking out there in Cubs land. Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras are so cool together, like with each other. They are cool. They hugged it out. Remember all the hugs they did at the trade deadline last year?
So many hugs. I was hugging like just random friends. I just wanted to feel the same thing that those two were feeling.
I wanted to feel it too. Like the bromance is real. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we have a pretty good bromance here between me and you. And the guys here at On Tap, but like we don't see each other enough to be like hugging it out like that. You know what I mean? Like these guys see each other every once in a while. Now they play against each other, so they were seeing a lot of each other. But nonetheless, like Ian Happ did not mean to do that. Bocce ball doesn't have tees, Joey. Well, they should. They should get some. They got to make them heavy enough though to put the bocce on the tee, and then like what club would you hit that with though? That'd be a heavy ass club.
What would you hit a bocce ball with?
Yeah, like
An
what
iron
was
pipe.
like
An iron pipe, Joey.
something.
What you were
dude,
saying,
like a huge sledgehammer or something. Like
Ian doesn't mean to hit Willie in that situation, right?
no, he doesn't
way.
mean to hit him. And like, dude, they hugged right before he left. And the thing that really gets me. All right, we'll get into Chip Carey in a second. Look at the fans after Michaelis. First of all, yeah, he missed the first pitch, tried to hit him. Like, then the second pitch, the catcher's setting up outside. So anyone that thinks that he was not trying to hit him in that situation, this is a guy with a 90th percentile walk rate, meaning he doesn't walk guys. 4 of the last 5 seasons, a 90th percentile walk rate. He doesn't walk guys. He can control his pitches. This is a major league, really good command or control pitcher. The catcher's setting up outside on that second pitch. He meant to hit him. We all know that. The fans, this is how fucking awful you guys are in St. Louis. The fans in the background, after he hits him on the second one, the guys that are sitting behind the plate, men and women, sitting behind the plate that just saw Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras hug each other before Contreras left the diamond with a busted open head or cut on his head. What? You're booing? You're cheering that the guy gets hit? Like, okay, big deal. First of all, it didn't hurt Happ. Happ's just so calm. He's so chill. Like, I'm going to take my base. You didn't do anything to me. Like, then Chip Carey, dude. I thought Chip Carey would get better over time. Like, I really did. We had Harry Carey here. Chip Carey was here with the Cubs. And, of course, that's the first thing I thought of, Ron, was Tyler's, drove up 65
into St. Louis, through the shit, into that garbage stadium to say, finally.
Fuck the Cardinals. Yeah, seriously, though, fuck the Cardinals. And Chip Carey, it was his other buddy that was on the mic. Not only do you have one bad announcer, you have 2 bad announcers because that guy, Brad Thompson, I don't watch Cardinals games.
No.
I don't. Like, it makes me sick. I want to throw up if I'm watching a Cardinals game. First of all, they're too bad to even find them interesting when the Cubs aren't playing them this season.
They're not interesting even when they're good.
No, because they're the most boring good team usually every year anyways, when they are good.
Atrocious. It's atrocious.
But Brad Thompson, have a feel for the game. You got to be kidding me. Oh, how are you going to throw him out? How are you going to eject him? Like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. You're whining. You're like Chip Carey. All right, back to Chip Carey for a second. Back in the day, I'm not going to lie. When I was a kid, there were things I liked about Chip Carey, like swung on, belted, deep left field. Like, when I was a kid, I was too young and dumb to understand. Like, all right, we have one dumb broadcaster and then one smart one with Steve Stone. Like, Chip Carey, though, was the guy that kind of like entertained the kids. But then when you got a little bit older, you started to understand, like, swung on, belted, deep left field, and it'd be it's caught by Richard Hidalgo. It's caught by Ray Langford. Like, he was giving Cubs fans a bad name for thinking everything was a home run that was hit in the air. Let's be honest. Every fan base does that. Like, it's not just Cubs fans. And the wind plays into it at Wrigley. So go fuck yourself if you think all Cubs fans just think every ball hit in the air is a home run. But anyways, I don't know why I'm off on this tangent right now. Just like looking at Marmol and Miles Michaelis going over there doing the little hand gestures and the like, oh, you're too short. And Stroman obviously is real short. Like, oh, come at me, bro. And like Stroman and Barnhart's not that tall for a major leaguer either. Just laughing at him. Just laughing at him. I'm sorry, I haven't read these comments that you're putting up here. I should probably be
No.
reading, but
I'll read them for you, Joey. We got a
yeah.
lot here saying, I was just thinking the last series at Wrigley and about to tweet, has Chip Carey always been this insufferable, even when he was here? And that was followed up by a friend of the program, Hank Rodriguez. Chip with the fake tough guy act. LOL, what a dork. Let's normalize making the old dork nerd and all that like mean something again, because it's a fun little insult that doesn't hurt anybody. And he says, Jeremiah says Harry would have won off in the first inning. It's funny, right? It's like, I think that's the one weird thing about broadcasters is like, it's hard when we are fans to like divide yourself from the team sometimes, because this is what we root for and this is what we've grown up loving and the whole nine. But like, it is really hard when you don't have a necessarily vested interest in the team, that like, unless they're signing your paychecks to be excited. And it's weird. It's hard to separate from that. And it can be egregious at times. Like, I think Chip Carey is just the guy that he gets so into it with the team that he's with, that then like for the opposite fan base, he becomes insufferable. Right. And it's like, because he's kind of like molding himself to that St. Louis fan base. You know, I'm very lucky and privileged to get to call games for my alma mater, St. Xavier University. I have a vested interest because I was a Coug. So like, it's a little different, right? I got that super homerism in it. Like, it's the one time in this world that I think that maybe, just maybe, some of my decent Sox friends got it right, saying that like they enjoyed Hawk despite him being terrible as a broadcaster. It was because he was that homer, right? And it's like, but yeah, it's bad. It's gotten to the point now where you have to separate yourself as a fan to like say, hey, these guys have to do it as a profession. They have to be like maybe a little biased toward the team they actually root for, because like otherwise it's just you don't get into it. So it plays into the rivalries, but nonetheless insufferable because we are Cubs fans, and that is brutal.
I am all for the homerisms for the home team that you're calling the games for. It's when you're a homer and you're dumb. Like, that's when I have an issue. Like, you can be a homer, just don't be dumb about it. Like, there was no reason to, and credit to the Cubs, Ron, because the Cubs could have easily fallen into the trap, and instead they're just sitting there laughing, and then Steele, like, he doesn't retaliate. Like, a lot of times, you know, yes, that's credit to the veteran presence, I think, in the clubhouse or in the dugout and David Ross. But like, Steele, a lot of times that's on the pitcher too. They could take it in their own hands and just decide to go back out there next inning and just hit somebody, right? Cubs are playing meaningful baseball right now, playing really good baseball, and they know their season's on the line. Can't get caught in the weeds with this shit. Cardinals, maybe Michaelis, maybe that was their goal. Let's get them riled up. We know they're a better team right now, and we're selling our pieces at the deadline. Whatever they're gonna do, like, I'm just glad the Cubs didn't fall for the trap. Steele went out there, shit pumped for 6 innings, as you like to say, always shit pumping. Yeah, it was good. It was a good night, man. I until you told me the score when we hopped on here, 10-3. I didn't know what the final score was, because it was just one of those nights where they just cruised to victory, and you love that.
It was one of our co-hosts, Mr. Juice on Tap, who's over here in the comments, joking with friend of the program Jeremiah here about being on the other side of the show as a commenter. Like, the games, the non-stressful games that you just sit back and watch are fantastic. You stop caring about the score. You can hone in almost a little more on what individual players are doing, because you're relaxed and you're watching the game from a different angle. And it's kind of fun. It really is kind of fun that way. But to your point, man, it showed what tonight's game was. It was a fun mix of the Cubs got a big blowout win. They're hot, 6 in a row, while like just taking an opportunity to shut on the Cardinals because FTC, as always, right? It's the perfect balance is what kind of tonight's game was. As the Lop says here, times have changed. Chip Carey is not, probably why he's potentially annoying. Juice is wondering where Scott is because he and Patty Wise are chilling somehow. I actually had that as a discussion point on the show for tonight. I wanted to talk a little Patrick Wisdom and a Lop once again. Cardinals wanted to bait the Cubs with their antics. Cubs didn't bite. Disciplined team focused on their goals. I agree wholeheartedly. And just a big quick goal shout out to our friend Olap. Saw your comment there, buddy. We miss you too, dude. On Tab Sports family. Always, and forever. Joey, let's dial in one more here on the show. I want to talk certain individual points because there were a lot of good things. I know it was a blowout win. The first being the Cubs are the second best team in baseball at 10-plus run games. The only team that's better than them is the Texas Rangers. This team can be really good when the offense is clicking. They've shown it. Now it's just showing it consistently, which they've done since the end of the All-Star break. I want to know, Joey, with the offense, with everything going on, putting that aside, I want to know. We got to talk friend of the program first. How does Justin Steele go out there on a night that he struggles? We all know this, but I'm asking rhetorically. How does he go out there knowing he's going to struggle? Maybe he doesn't have his best stuff. It's okay. We're all human. It's just the nature of the beast. That's what makes baseball baseball. And just fucking shit pumps, Joey, for 6 innings of good work, keeping this team in the game. The offense did their job, but so did Justin Steele. Continuing, you wrote the article, my friend. That's why I want to ask you. You wrote the article. You were 6 to 9 months ahead of the pack. Everybody was optimistic, but nobody was as in as we are here at Cubs on Tap. You said Justin Steele was going to be an ace. Once again tonight, he looks like an ace. 6 innings, maybe battling not his best stuff, but when you got a pitcher that can go out there and give you a quality start on his off night, you know you got a real one at the top of your lineup. How do you feel right now when guys like Steele are on the bump for this Cubs team?
Well, one, you're giving me too much credit because he's the one that's going out there doing it. So I could think whatever I want, but you could see it was kind of coming there, going in that direction, and he's done it, man. He's went out there and done it. And he makes people like me and you and whoever else and all of us here at Cubs on Tap that have been saying that this guy's legit look really freaking smart. He makes us look smart. He does that. So credit to Justin Steele and big performance tonight in a much-needed game where you're keeping this momentum moving, 6 straight wins. I mean, yes, the offense has been great to see. What was the stat? 7 runs in 5 straight games now. Longest single season streak since 1940. Yeah, that's great. Like the offense has really been turning, and you've been hitting homers, and you've been seeing a ton of pitches, and then getting some luckier breaks that you weren't getting early in the year. But Justin Steele, like you said, a night where he didn't quite have his best stuff, in my opinion, and I don't think anyone would really say that was the best Justin Steele we're going to see this year. And so far, we've seen even better already this year. But he powers through it. He's just a warrior. That's an ace that's an ace pitcher. It's just an ace pitcher. And we said it before, but you know, when you see it, things start to unravel that first inning with the Cardinals. And yeah, you put a little pressure on them, the 3 spot, I believe, in the first inning or whatever it was, you know, Morel coming through. We'll talk about the offense. But you can battle through those performances where you don't have your ace-like stuff and still give you 6 innings when the pitch count's kind of racking up on you at times throughout the game. I love it, man. What did you say about pizza, beer, and wings? What did
Pizza, beer, and wings. This was a start worthy of some pizza, beer, and wings afterwards because Justin told us right here on the Cubs on Tap that's his go-to. He likes to do that after the post game, right? When we're doing the beer, wing, and pizza, watching him, he's doing the same reciprocal once his start is over. And tonight's when you tough one out like that, that's worthy of like 20 just good classic buffalo wings. Whether you're an umbrella kind of guy, are you a flat or a drums guy, Joey?
Both. I like both.
Okay.
I'm a wings guy.
You just don't discriminate. You're just like, yeah, I
Nah,
want. I
nah.
lean slightly to the I'm a big flats guy. But
Fair.
I'll crush a drum just as easily, especially if it's dipped in blue cheese. I'm all for it. I'm a big blue
I like
cheese guy.
I like liquid blue cheese, which is the only kind of blue cheese you have with your wings. But I would tell you right now, the crumbled blue cheese is fucking disgusting.
It's the
Unless it's
same
melted.
thing.
No,
Blue
it's
cheese
not.
dressing is the crumbled blue cheese just
Dude,
minimally
it's got
added
even
to
worse.
like ranch dressing.
It's got an even worse smell to it. If you go into a walk-in cooler at a restaurant, if you work in a restaurant, dude, you will I want to throw up before I can even make the food that I'm supposed to make for people. I'm not at a restaurant anymore.
I'm getting yelled at here in the comments. Jeremiah's telling me blue cheese. You mean mold? I don't care that it's mold. You know how many things in this world that we eat that are technically expired because that's just how they're meant to be eaten?
Well,
Don't just get me started on blue cheese. All right.
mushrooms. People don't like mushrooms because it's a fungus.
I love mushrooms. I love
Yeah.
mushrooms. They're
What kind of
fantastic.
mushrooms?
I like sauteed mushrooms personally.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going somewhere else.
Oh no. Just sauteed mushrooms, man. They're the shit. They're
That
really
is cool.
honestly, they're really good. If you want to switch it up every once in a while, they're really good on a Swiss burger. Like a little Swiss cheese, some
Ooh,
sauteed
yes.
mushrooms. Ooh,
Yes.
ooh. Alaps with
I
me
like
says you're
that.
not alone. But he says flats are easier to eat, drums have more meat. That sounds like a rhyme. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, Alap. We'll talk contract details after that one.
The
But
lab's rapping tonight.
yeah, right. We're going. Why did Cubs on tap end early? Because we're going to Buffalo Wild Wings. We need some flats and drums. Now we'll
Bringing the
dial
lap.
it back. We'll dial it back in here, Joey. Nonetheless, great start from Justin Steele. Again, continuing to show why he is the man. Incredible comment from a lap a little bit earlier. Steele and Fields, Justin's running Chicago sports. It feels good, and I hope that's the case. You're going to hear from my stupid ass on Bears on Tap this year. Enjoy all of it. Every single episode is going to have offensive lineman talk because that's just where my head goes. Just be ready for it. We're talking trenches every single episode. All right, so just be ready for it. But Joey, let's talk about the bats here a little bit. We got to appreciate what was done on the offensive side of the dish tonight. Talkman went 3 for 6 with 2 runs driven in, 3 hits from Bellinger tonight in 5 appearances. You got Dansby Swanson with 2 walks and a hit, an RBI, 2 runs scored. A very complete night once again from Dansby. Morrell with 3 hits in this one. 3 runs scored, 2 driven in, and a walk for Christopher Morrell. He's just continuing to excel at the dish, not playing a terrible amount in the field until late in the game in this one when he was moved to second base, but started as DH yet again, 281 average, OPS of 891 after this one. Gomes with 2 hits, Mastrobuoni had a big hit for an RBI. What is going on with this offense right now, Joey? Because it's just like they might not be quote unquote elite, but it's like everybody is doing what they do best at the right time. Mastrobuoni's hitting little choppers and speed is working on the base paths to drive in a run. You have Christopher Morrell coming up 2 days in a row in clutch situations with men on base and runners in scoring position to drive runners in further down in the lineup. He's been hitting 7 a lot recently in that DH hole. Dansby Swanson hit a little deeper in the lineup, letting guys get out in front of him. So when he does make big contact, it's actually driving in runs. It almost feels like David Ross is he's the in sync, puppeteers and bye right now, just executing the right moves and making everybody move at the right time. Feels like he's dialed in. The Cubs are dialed in. And again, some calls here from the comments. Let's go get Candelario, CJ Crone, question mark from Alap and Jeremiah. Like, if this team adds just a little bit, they don't have to go hard. They don't have to sell the big piece prospects. But, Joey, the offense is clicking. Feels like they're 1 or 2 pieces away in the offense from maybe making some real kind of wild shit happen here down the stretch.
It definitely feels that way. And, it's kind of felt that way for a little while. It's just the breaks. Like, you have 1 or 2 guys have a good game. The rest of the offense is terrible. 1 or 2 guys have a decent game. The rest of the offense is terrible. it's like putting it together. They're putting it together at the right time because this is absolutely when they needed to win this last week and a half, whatever it is. Last 8-2 in their last 10 games or whatever it is now. But yeah, you add a little minor piece like that. By the way, I'm sorry. I don't know. Did I mention it was a half day tomorrow for me at work? I got the hashtag crack 'em.
The weekend starts on Thursdays, people. In case you didn't know that, it's an on-tap Sportsnet
I just pulled a Ron.
Oh, did you have a beer explode?
All over.
Are you gonna get criticized like Juice criticized me and saying that you have to wear a mankini now?
Luckily, I already had paper towels here because I absolutely spilled before we even got on the pre-show.
Oh, shall we?
Like I had one. I had this explode on me earlier. I had something happen to me. Like this is the third beer I'm on now.
Joey, I have a question to ask you. What do the Sun and a Cubs on Tap episode with you and me on the microphones have in common? They constantly have little blips off the body of what's happening, like the solar flares that just take you way, way away from what actually is being discussed, or in this case, a rabbit hole, and then bringing it back really quick.
Yeah,
because we're going to do that right now. We're getting really off track.
You want me to bring it back? Okay, we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back really quick here.
So, just speaking back to the offense there and the pieces you're talking about adding, yeah, because we should probably talk what we really want to talk about, which is the Cubs. And I think, yeah, a Crone, a Candelario, that would make a lot of sense. I love Crone's pop. I'm actually in a fantasy league with it's a buddy of mine who has been a huge CJ Crone fan. Sorry, we're in a fantasy league together too.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna give me some props right now. For those people that don't know, no, but I'm in
You're
second.
It.
Yeah, I might be the best team in the league right now. I just beat Booge the other week. Come on, Joey, give me some credit here.
I've been out in that league though. Like I've actually been. Look, this has not been a good fantasy year for me. I have missed lineup setting a lot, way more than I normally do, and I'm definitely going in the tank this year as far as money. I didn't go in as many leagues as I normally do, but credit where credit is due, Ron. You're absolutely tearing it up in that league. I know where you're at in the standings. I do know that much.
I'm coming for you, Booge. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, we need Booge in the comments right now just to talk shit to you.
I'm here for it. Send it my way.
Crone absolutely has a ton of power. So the upside for him is there. And even though he's, Colorado, he's played in some good ballparks for hitting. I think Crone can absolutely do some damage with the Cubs, and especially with the weather being nice, and it's just raw power type of dude. Candelario too. What kind of sucks for me, if we go after Candelario, it sucks because it's like, well, you gave him up initially, so you're going back to
He's a boomerang. He's a boomerang.
Coming back. I don't mind you making up for your initial error. And at the time, though, would you have even called it an error? I feel like it was worth the risk at the time. It didn't pan out, right? That trade just didn't work. It was a Justin Wilson trade, correct?
I believe so.
I think it was Wilson, and was Alex Lang in that deal?
I'll confirm for you. You continue.
I can't remember exactly, but Justin Wilson obviously didn't pan out with the Cubs, but whatever. It doesn't matter how all that went down. But I think Candelario makes a ton of sense at third base. Crone can't play third, so that's kind of one of those situations where do you like Tauchman in center and you want Belly at first? Because I kind of like the way that this roster is constructed, the lineup construction right now as it is with Tauchman in center. Now you cross that bridge where you get there, because a guy like Crone definitely makes your offense better. Even if you can slot him in at the DH spot, whatever you want to do. But Morel, now you're like, all right, third base. So definitely tough. I think you just add bats at this point. Like you need at least one bat to add at the deadline. You needed probably a relief pitcher as well, even though the relief pitching has been much better here recently. So, not to kind of get too much in the weeds with the trade talk, because I honestly don't have like an exact target as far as relief pitchers that I want. I know Juice had some names in mind too from Washington when we were talking, me, you, and him, and Tyler texting back and forth.
Finnegan, Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like those names. If you were gonna do like kind of a deal like that or like a package deal, what something like that costs, I don't know. I mean, I do think that I don't think Jed and Carter value relief pitching like maybe we want them to. I just don't. I feel like they're not willing to spend it, whether it be free agents, whether it be in the trade market. So, and then you kind of have to look at like what was the Wesneski deal, right? So Wesneski for Efros. Efros had a lot of years of control, but at the time, Wesneski, where was he at in his prospect like rankings with the Yankees? He wasn't. He was high, but he was like where did he slot in with the Cubs?
Top 15. I think he was 12 for the Yankees, and I think he came in and became like the 8th for the Cubs.
Yeah,
he was pretty high.
I'm wondering. So like a package deal like that, guys with control, right? But Efros had like 5 years. He has 5 years left when the Cubs traded him, I believe.
Yeah.
So like looking at the prospects that you'd have to ship off for guys with like 1 or 2 years left, I feel like you wouldn't have to give up a Wesneski type, if that makes sense. You'd probably have to give up like a, I don't know, top 20 though, probably like 18.
Well, let's talk about this a little, Joey. So
I'm just trying to think. I don't know why I'm thinking this way, but like
no. I actually like where your head's going, and bear with me here for a second because we've talked a lot about the 10-3 win, right? But I do want to talk a little deadline talk because that's going to dominate the airwaves here for the next week or so because of where the Cubs are and where things are going. A very good confirmation. I had this one teed up, but Alap has it in a comment for us, so it's easier to post it on the screen here. He says it was Yeimer Candelario and Isaac Paradis for Alex Avila and Justin Wilson. Avila was really good for that half season, but never re-signed with the Cubs. Wilson just was a total bust. Candelario has gone on to be a pretty decent third baseman, not elite, but solid. And Paradis has had a nice little season down in Tampa Bay, where he ended up now from Detroit. So it just goes to show the Cubs had some legitimate prospects, around at that time. A lot follows up, says Lang was in the Castellanos deal. Correct. Castellanos should have still been a Cub. I'm going to die on that hill. I'm going to die on that hill because guess what? By the time that Seiya Suzuki and the other guys came around, he could have been gone. But he still could have been here in all of, the rest of 19 and then 2021. He didn't opt out until 2022. He could have done the same Reds deal with the Cubs, and maybe 2020 and 2021 are really different. Maybe the sell-off doesn't happen, Joey. I'm going to throw your just head into a spin right now. Maybe. That's why I got a Nick Castellanos jersey. It's just to encapsulate that moment of when he was a Cub and just balling out and just tell people, look, maybe shit was going to be different. Maybe that was a big mistake. He should have never not been a Cub because I love Nick Castellanos. Anyway.
I love Castellanos in the Cubs uniform, man. It's rough seeing him.
It was a good time. It was a good time. So, we've got Crone, we've got Candelario. This team is potentially in a place to buy Joey. But I want to ask you, how much of this season isn't necessarily them needing to like hardcore buy? Like, what are you giving up for guys like Candelario and Crone in this prospect system right now? Because there's been some interesting trade thoughts and opinions here in our comments section. Jeremiah saying Caleb Killian and Kevin Made for Candelario. What are the thoughts there? There's some thoughts being thrown around here. What are you trading for either one? It doesn't have to be both, but for either one. What are you giving up for a guy like CJ Crone? What are you giving up for a guy like Candelario? And then effectively is a two-part question. Does that make sense for this Cubs team right now? Because I don't think they should hard sell. I think that has effectively been eliminated. If they hard sell, I will be right there with everybody at the marquee with pitchforks and torches. I'm ready. I'll be there. I promise you, because I'm ready to be heartbroken by this team.
Unless they lose these next 3 games.
Right. Agreed. I agree with you.
Like hard sell. You know what I mean?
They shouldn't, but I just don't trust anybody. I don't trust this front office right now, Joey. That's the problem.
I
But so
understand.
that's where I ask you. I say where they stand now. What are you realistically giving up to marginally improve this team to maybe take a run? Because I really do think they have a legitimate team to make some noise. I'm not going to come out and say they're going to win the World Series. And because Dansby Swanson's team with the Braves in 2021 had the same record as the Cubs on the same date, and then they went crazy in the second half and they got in the playoffs and won the World Series. I'm not saying the Cubs are going to do that. But what I am saying is I think this Cubs team is talented enough to make some noise and create momentum going into 2024 rather than going the other way by selling. What are you willing to give up to marginally improve this team with either a Candelario, a Crone, maybe another reliever? What is your just sweet spot right now of I would give this up because I think it's worth improving this current Cubs team?
You might have mentioned this at the top of the show, but the Cubs are back at 500.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in a long time. So, like,
been a hot minute.
This is for real. Like, they're playing really good ball. And I mean, I know we're mentioning that, but like, it's a precursor to like this topic because the whole buy topic, when people were screaming, buy, you have to buy, you have to buy, you have to buy.
Buy.
Scott, not calling you out, but I'm going to mention your name because you're always saying, let's buy no matter what. Scott, calling you out, especially since you're not in the comments right now. Scott, calling you out. But I do feel like there's times when you really should buy, like hardcore heavy buy, like when the Cubs were in their championship mode, right? You go get an Aroldis Chapman, deals like that. Nick Castellanos at the time made a ton of sense. You were in buy mode, you were in championship window mode, right? All that stuff. They're not there. You know what I mean? So figuring out exactly where they're at. Now you made it to 500. I love where this team, the direction of this team is going. I do think they should buy, but I don't think they should buy, if that makes sense. Like, don't buy. Like, don't sell.
Buy a little bit, but don't go too stupid.
Yeah, and I always thought that they should, like, do a soft buy regardless of what happens. Maybe it's a little sell and a little buy. That's kind of what I was always thinking all along here. Yeah. But maybe now you could afford to do a little bit more of little buying than little selling because you don't really want to break up what's kind of working right now with this team still having a shot. I mean, they're only 4 out, I believe, of the wild card. They're 5.5 back of the division now. So, like, this team could absolutely make some noise down here, down the stretch. So I think it's a little bit more soft buying than it is soft buy and soft sell, kind of like where my head was. Would I give up? It's so tough, man. It's really comes down to that's where it's not my job. It's not my job, and it's not your job to identify which talent in the system needs to get parted with to get these deals done. You know what I mean? Like they have to identify, and I think the scouting team does a good job with this with the Cubs. But you need to identify which players you really see sticking long term, where there's a potential opening long term. And who you feel comfortable with parting ways to kind of get something done as a soft buy, consideration, small buy. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, Ron. This is my third, fourth year, whatever the fuck I'm saying. But there's a lot of depth in different positions. I'm going to go spill another beer myself. There's a lot of depth at different positions in the minors. All these guys are not going to pan out. So, like, yes, positive note on the farm. Canario hit his first home run of the year tonight, dead center, 417 feet.
He nuked that thing. That thing was launched.
Crushed, man. And, like,
smashed.
Maybe he's a guy, but you also need that power coming in.
I hope so.
I don't want him to be a guy. You know, that's what makes this so is it a Nelly V? Somebody will believe in that power right now where there is no spot for him. I'm not saying that's going to give you the best piece possible. Maybe package a Nelly V with someone really far down the line, like a Derniche Valdez or something, or Jefferson Rojas, something like that. I know you don't want to diminish the farm.
Valdez, I would trade Valdez before Rojas. Rojas is in Myrtle Beach already. I'm not trading Rojas.
Look, I don't want to get rid of him, but I'm just saying, like, he's still Myrtle Beach, Ron. We have short.
But he shot up to 15th in the prospect rankings.
He did. I'm saying it would be more of a better buy if you were to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
But we see guys fluctuate through the system all the time. They're
I
so young. They go
know.
up, they go down, they go up, they go down. Caleb Killian was going up, then he's going back down. DJ Hurts was up, then he's back down. Like
It's
Ed Howard, way up, then he goes back down. Like this happens. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I don't like the player. It's just
no, I
what
agree.
I'm willing to kind of part with is what you're asking me. And that's
it's the case of like I think in recent years teams are more willing to ride out prospects and be wrong, especially for like high level guys, than trade them away and just go for it. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's like a we don't want critique to the front office thing or whatever. But it really does feel that way just where things go because Jack says, let's go. Ricotta and Loose. Yes, we are back on the
baby.
mic. A lot said, Castellanos could play DH nonetheless, whatever. But David Robertson just got traded to the Marlins, and I just saw the trade. It was for the 18th and 21st prospect in the Marlins system. That's a decent return for a reliever, which is weird because the White Sox got absolutely fleeced for Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez. If you ask me, if that's the case. Yes, they got the second and third best prospects in the Angels system, but the Angels system is a bottom tier farm system at this point. I would be okay with this team right now. Again, I think hard sell is out of the question, but this team can absolutely do a soft buy and a soft sell all at the same time. Get rid of the pieces that you're just like, you don't work here. We're not gonna resign you. Unless again it's the big dogs, but again maybe like
all right.
smaller
Give me a
relievers,
name though. Give me a name.
like smaller relievers.
Yeah, I guess I should let you keep talking, but yeah, I don't know why I cut you off. Do you have a name of a guy that you want to soft sell? Like,
I think you know what's crazy. I think you could soft sell a Nick Madrigal because he's been hurt, and you've shown you can win without him. But he's really good when he's also in your lineup, and I think teams might see that value and say, "Hey, look." He's not going to cost us much, right? You're getting a total dice roll type prospect back, but maybe you just take that shot and go with it, unless you really think he's going to stick. That being said, you could soft sell a guy like him, and then for another piece that you get back in that deal, you could almost kind of flip flop it and go get a Candelaria, right? And like say, hey, we're going to upgrade third base. Not necessarily because we're going to get better average because Madrigal got hot before he got hurt. But you could go get a guy like Candelaria who's got power, left-handed power, especially with this team desperately needs outside of Cody Bellinger. Hap has been hot here and there, but like same, right? I think that's kind of where they go, right? It's like you sell from somewhere where you get something back to pseudo replace it and then go for another area. I think it's going to be a 1-for-1 type deadline. I really do think for this Cubs front office because I don't think they totally want to sell. They're not going to sell anybody big unless it's who the only big prospect I think they could sell on this deadline is a Brennan Davis. Of just like, hey,
well, that would still be a buy though. You mean selling? Okay, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, you sell him for something and then use those assets you get in return to maybe buy something. Or it's a 1-for-1, right? Hey, we've got this guy that's borderline major league ready. We just can't fit him in somewhere. We like Brennan. We really think we can get Brennan where he needs to be because we have a desperate need in the corner outfield spots going forward. Let's do a 1-for-1 and just see if it works. Because you've seen that happen. It's happened before. I think that's the kind of trade we see at the deadline right now, which I'm happy about. I want to see this team roll and just have a chance. They could end if they fall flat on their face. Shit happens. You don't lose anything. You don't necessarily but you gain something because some of these young guys on this team that are going to be a big part of the future, Nico Horner, Christopher Morel, etc., Dansby Swanson, even as a veteran, they get used to winning in the Cubs uniform and playing meaningful baseball late into the season. That wears off on when the young guys come up and things get rolling. So I just that's where I think I'm at, Joey. I know we got into the thing here. Jeremiah says, LOL, we got Brown number 3 in our farm now for Robertson. The Mets got nothing, which is totally true.
Yeah,
again, that's twice that the Cubs have fleeced the Mets because they also got PCA for Javi Baez and Trevor Williams. So It's happened. It just shows that maybe just because you're owned by a big money owner doesn't mean you're actually going to do good things with the
Well,
money.
I technically fleeced the Phillies, but like, fuck it, the Mets got fleeced
Oh,
now.
same.
Yeah, but I mean, but dude, I'm kind of curious. I want to visit this topic because it's been a while since we really talked about him really in depth, and I know we didn't really go into like the actual. We talked about the game, but Morel had the big hit early on. I thought that was huge, but the guy that you mentioned just a second ago, Brendan Davis. How do you view him? Like, I know he's had a ton of injuries. Sounds like you might be comfortable trading him, which I'm not. I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm kind of curious though, like what your thoughts are on him now, just because of all the injuries and stuff. Like he's had his struggles at the minors. He can't get to the majors.
Yeah, I feel for Brennan because I really wanted to see him become a good player, right? Like he had the makeup. He could have. I think he could still be something. I don't think it's totally lost. But maybe it's just like a team seeing what he does well and saying, "Look, we're just going to dedicate to you, and you do that one thing well for what we got you for. That'll be a success." Maybe he is a guy that comes up and he only hits 240, 250, but he gives you some speed. He gives you good defense. Maybe he's that guy. Maybe that's his role. But with the Cubs, that doesn't work right now because you have Cody Bellinger, you have Mike Talkman, who's done a little bit of both. You obviously have PCA on the way. They'll stray away from that. Maybe another team sees value in that, and that's where I think it's at right now for Brennan. Not to say that again, if the Cubs traded him and he became a star, I wouldn't be mad, right? It's cool seeing players that like you've kind of come up, have watched come up with your own team, like succeed, even if it's after the Cubs. It's fine. Like DJ LeMahieu was always a guy I've been impartial to on fantasy drafts because he was a Cub. And I was like, ooh, what could have been? You were a stud and we traded you, and that sucks,
Yeah, that one pissed me off. Like later on, it pissed me off.
Right. And like, so that's where I think I'm at with like the prospect thing. It's like, I truly believe in like, sometimes it's just not going to work out with like the team that you root for. That's just the nature of the beast. It can be as simple as, okay, this guy needs to change the scenery. Maybe he puts it together. Go for it and do it. It is what it is. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But
yeah, I mean, they don't have spots for all these guys, right? Like you can't play. Right. You wait on all these guys and then they never play. Like there's not spots for all of them. It's just the sad reality.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. 100% right, Mr. Joseph. Joey Ricotta, I have one last question for you. Do you have any final thoughts on this game, on trade deadline things in general, what have you, before we move on and look ahead to Friday's game and then the weekend, just in case there isn't a show from Cubs on Tap? It's going to be a surprise. We're just going to start surprising people on Fridays, especially when they're not at home. If you get a show, just join and ball out, have fun, make it a Friday #Crack'em segment in your day. If we don't go live, we don't go live. But we're gonna keep you on the edge of suspense if we do. So with that in mind, before we look ahead, Joey, final thoughts. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, what are you up to tomorrow? Because I'm down to do a show.
I may or may not. Exactly. I might be ooting a boot, but hey, I'll tell you what, Joey. I will challenge you. If you're the one to host the show and can add me via the mobile device, maybe I'll join you for a show tomorrow night. It might be a Friday night #Crack'em segment, but I might join you for one. And we'll talk a little Cubs. So with that in mind, Joey, I need some final thoughts. Inspire me and convince me why I need to come on tomorrow night's show with you, my friend.
Because the Cubs might be for real.
Ooh.
They might be.
Okay. They might
be. I'm not saying they are. I'm going to pull a page out of Tyler's book. I'm not saying it. But I'm saying it. They might be for real. And like for real in the sense that like This is kind of the team that, in my
Wait,
opinion,
Joey, how for real? Like, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
oh,
I am for real.
how do we just synchronize that so beautifully at the end of the show? It's so beautifully. I'm sorry, Miss Wisdom. Ooh.
Ooh,
All
I
right.
am for real.
All right, let's get back to being serious somewhat.
Man,
I do think that this is the team that we were expecting to see going into the year. Maybe not 7+ runs for 5 straight games type of team, but like competitive baseball, good baseball, around 500 in the hunt type of team that we were expecting to see. And you kind of wonder what could have been with this team and where they actually would be in the standings if it weren't for some of these 1 or 2 run losses, or it wasn't for, that what was the series in Miami. Some of these series where I think Miami was it every game that series they lost by 1 run or something. I don't know if that was actually true. I just made
I
that up,
think you're right. I think you're right.
but I feel like I remember that. Either way, like there were a lot of games this year, man, where you just need the ball to fall. The ball has fallen for the other team. It's soft contact. It's not in the lack of home runs until recently. Like if you get 1 or 2 home runs a game, look at this team's record. I don't know it off the top of my head. Maybe I'm just speaking hot air right now.
It's good.
I feel like it's pretty good. So yeah, that's my one thing. Somebody step up every game, hit a home run. And in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing as far as like a just bat to ball patience standpoint, because they're seeing a lot of pitches. They've been pretty patient for the most part here recently. I love Talkman right now in that leadoff role because I think he's a pesky at bat. I think he's a pesky out, whether it be a home run today, whether it be that soft dribbler. Like he's a guy that's tough to work around, and he kind of sets the table. Even when he's not getting on base, he sets the table for the rest of the lineup in a way that really helps the way the rest of the game goes, just because he sees so many pitches and he's fighting off a lot of pitches. And we saw a lot of that even in the Sox series, which, yeah, the Sox aren't a good team, right? You put the ball in play, good things happen, but a lot of that's created on their own part because the pitching is still pretty good, talent perspective wise. It was, anyways. I know they're trading guys off, blah, blah, blah. But, like, you put together good at bats. These are still major league professional pitchers. Good things happen more times than not. So it's really nice to see that this is kind of turning the corner here. And I'm excited, man. Friday night, crack 'em sessions are always welcome in my household, as long as I get approval. But yeah, I have a half day of work tomorrow, my friend. So if I can sign you in on the old the mobile device here and get you on the live stream, that'd be beautiful. And then whoever wants to join us too, maybe we get 3 of us, maybe we get 4 of us. Who knows? That'd be nice. I want to see a W to talk about though after.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're riding W's into the weekend, Joey. I'm right there with you. Just one thing I've got for you here: 5.5 back in the NL Central, 4 games back for the number 3 wildcard spot. Just the third Cubs team ever to get back to 500 after falling 10 games under.
Crazy.
Morale is high. Joey Ricotta. Morale is high. And that's my final thought on this Cubs game. Joey, let's look ahead to Friday and then the rest of the weekend, just in case. But we'll focus more so on Friday's game. The 500 Cubs come into shitbag St. Louis. It's Jordan Montgomery on the bump for the Cardinals. It will likely be Drew Smiley, assuming he's healthy. If not, we will see who the starter is. It's currently TBD. I'm sure it's out there somewhere on Twitter, maybe who the starter is tomorrow, but that is what it is. Saturday is a Tyone versus Wainwright matchup. And then on Sunday, it's a Kyle Hendricks versus Steven Matz matchup, just in case you don't hear from us before then. Joey, how do the Cubs guarantee at worst a split with a Friday win and then ride in the weekend to see what happens? What needs to happen tomorrow with probably Drew Smiley on the mound for the Chicago
Oh,
Cubs to get a dub.
God, that just sounds disgusting right now. It just sounds disgusting. Like, yeah, I know this team's hot. It's TBD, though. Okay, if you're saying probably Drew Smiley.
It
I'm
should be
feeling like
Drew because they skipped Drew in his last start. That's why it's TBD.
they did, but then he still came in the game.
But they
So,
still
like,
skipped his start.
they did. You're right. But then Wisniewski was announced to pitch in Iowa. So it's probably not Wisniewski, or are they just pulling a fast one on us and they're going to call him up and pitch him? Like,
I don't
who
know.
would it be? I mean, I feel like it's Drew Smiley. Montgomery has killed the Cubs for a long time, but the last time Cubs kind of got to him a little bit, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, I mean, you just got to jump on him early. Like, it's kind of the same song and dance just about every night, but I feel like you jump on him early, good things happen. Wait him out, let him throw you something good, bounce on it. Don't get over aggressive. Cubs get themselves into trouble when they get over aggressive, but I do really like certain guys in the lineup getting aggressive too, though. So it's like half and half. It's like a nice creamer for a coffee. You know, like it's a little half and half. Like there's some guys you want that aggressiveness from, and there's other guys where you really like the table setter, patient, wait it out, don't get too aggressive because you're getting out of your game. But Montgomery, yeah, we should be able to hit him in theory. Really worried about that pitching matchup. If I do see them losing a game in this series, this could be the one, especially the way that the Cubs slaughtered them tonight. I feel like the Cardinals are going to come out a little extra heavy and intense, and especially a guy like Contreras who wanted to stay in the game. He was perfectly fine to stay in the game. He just couldn't stop bleeding. So he's going to be back in the lineup tomorrow. Lefty, Smiley facing Contreras, if that's the case. Do not throw him anything in the fucking zone. Please don't throw Wilson Contreras anything in the zone because I feel like he's going to come out and absolutely smash the ball. And then we're going to have to listen to Chip Carey highlights on Twitter and swung on, belted, deep left field against his former team. Like, shut the fuck up. Let's go win the game. Smiley, please step it up. I'm sorry for cussing all the time. I don't know why. It's the fourth, probably way more than 4 times tonight. Ron, those are my final thoughts. I don't know what I'm rambling on. What do you think about this game?
I think that's perfect. Perfect final thoughts, honestly. They got Montgomery on the mound tomorrow. You hope they can get after him for once. It's probably going to be Smiley. Let's see what happens on the front end because, like you said, Tyone Hendricks over the weekend. We just need a dub. Just need a dub. Need to keep things going here for the Cubbies. I am right there with you. 5.5 out of the NL Central. Reminder: 4 games back of the final wild card position. Joey, before we get out here, I want to remind everybody Cubs on Tap, one of 2 official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. Be sure to check out our friends over at the Dingers podcast. They are at Dinger Cubs on Twitter and Instagram. They were live on Monday night. In case you missed their show, be sure to go back and listen to it or watch it. You can watch it over at the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube channel. If not, you can go listen to it wherever you listen to your favorite shows on podcast form. Follow us as well at Cubbies on Tap, Cubbies. I am Loose on Tap. He's Joey Knows Nothing, although sometimes he knows something. At Juice on Tap, at Teddy Freddy 270, at Nick _on Tap, at Bulls Guy Rob. Follow the whole Cubs on Tap cast here at On Tap Sportsnet. You know the drill. Bulls, Bear, Blackhawks. We got it all right here at the On Tap Sports Network. Bears in full swing. Blackhawks and Bulls are just kind of sitting around twiddling our thumbs in the meantime, but it's training camp. Bears. It's coming, Joey. It's coming.
I'm excited, man.
I am also excited as well. And they have to deal with endless torture, but you know what? You don't beat up my Thai guy and get to get away with anything easily. That was a load of horseshit. Yeah, load of horseshit. Absolute load of horseshit. Send your friends to our friends over at Sox on Tap. They're all good people. But you know, there's some the bad people in the old Sox fan base, so they let them suffer the rest of the season. But let it be a therapy session amongst your friends with our friends over at Sox on Tap. But the boys do a great job covering the Southsiders over at 35th and Shields. Once again, ontapsportsnet.com and ontapsportsnet on social media. The OnTap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Joey, it's always a pleasure, buddy. It's been a long time. Glad we got to do this. It's another Cubs win. It's their 6th in a row. The Cubs lead off the St. Louis series with a dub. 3 straight wins on this away road trip this week. 6 in totality. They're looking to go 7th tomorrow night in St. Louis against the St. Louis Cardinals. We expect it to be Drew Smiley against Jordan Montgomery. Again, Ron Luce, Joey Ricotta. Joey, what do you say, buddy? We get out of here the only way we know how at Cubs on Tap.
Yeah, I think it goes something like, fuck the Cardinals.
FCT until the day we die, baby. And let's go Cubbies.